Welcome to our YouTube channel. And if you are joining us for the first time, you can always subscribe and you are going to be given updates on how we are going to be moving on in our series. If at all you did not hear the first part, you can always check back and I'm sure you'll find all the information that we have given to you in this particular channel. We are looking at disease today. And this is one thing that has puzzled the whole world out there. This is one thing that has puzzled the scientists and the medical personnel. And everyone is interested to figure out how to cure humanity. It is one thing not to be sick, but it is another to be sick. When you have been sick before, you'll understand that a human being can do literally anything to receive their healing. Right in different countries, we've got sangomas, we've got witchcraft, and we've got wizards, and we've got medical doctors, and we've got people that call themselves medical missionaries like us. And all of us are saying, we can treat your diseases. And it is practically hard to find out who are speaking the truth. But we want to lie you down, not in what other people are saying, but we want to get you in what we are speaking about disease and where we get our grind of telling you that what we are speaking is workable, and it is only workable because the person that has given us the remedies that we are supposed to use on how to attend to the bodies is one that understands your very being, one that has created you and knows your whole entire being from your head to the toes, and he has numbered your very bones. And if there is anything that is so amusing in life, is to have an answer about your well-being from a person that understands and brought you into existence. Now, as we are getting to answer this particular puzzle, in the Bible, when we read the book of Exodus chapter 15 verse 26, God has got a certain way he introduces it after the children of Israel crossed the Red Sea. He says, if you shall diligently hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, and will give ear to his commandments, and do all his statutes, he will bring none of the diseases which he has brought upon the Egyptian. And then he says, for I am the Lord that healeth thee. So there are certain diseases that are there in the world that are not meant for God's children to have. And God says, if we diligently hearken unto his commandments, that is in one part of it in Exodus. But when we go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, there is another aspect. He introduces it like that in verse 1. But in verse 15, he says, but. That is a way of starting when you have failed to keep the first statement. But if thou wilt not diligently hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, and give ear to the commandments and the statutes, I will bring these curses upon you. Now God says curses upon you. In the other one he says, I will not bring the diseases which I have brought upon the Egyptians. When you read Proverbs 26, it says, a curse causelessly shall not come. So while there is a curse, there is a cause. And what God is trying to speak about here in Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 15, as you go down, he begins to list down the number of curses that are going to befall mankind if he violates the commandments and the statutes of God. And he begins to list them by name. And when you go to verse 22 of that particular chapter, it says he's going to bring inflammations and he's going to bring tuberculosis. And the word that is mentioned in that particular verse is so amusing in its nature because it refers to upper respiratory diseases. I would love to read the clauses that are in that particular part. And this is what it says in Deuteronomy 28 verse 22. The Lord will smite thee with a consumption, with a fever, with an inflammation and an extreme burning, with a sword and with a blasting and mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. Now, looking at those words that Moses is using at this particular time, it is long before the medical world understood these things. And he speaks about a consumption. The word consumption deals with upper respiratory diseases. It talks about a fever that is the chillness of the body beyond the normal temperature. And there are many diseases that bring about fevers like malaria, like typhoid, like cholera. And it speaks about an inflammation. Now, in the medical world, they say any word that ends with itis, which is itis, is inflammation, the swelling of body parts. And there are many words in the medical world that I know you know because you'll have been diagnosed of it, like meningitis, pancreatitis, all these words that are ending with itis. That is the disease that God is talking about. And he says you are going to have them if you do not hearken unto the voice. And he speaks about mildew. If you have got a child that is growing out there, you'll have seen ringworms on them. You'll have seen fungal infection. If you are a woman, you have got problems with the vaginal itchnesses. You have got issues with fungal infections. And this is what God is talking about. That's the mildew. When you go in the nurse's dictionary, you discover that these are the words that God is speaking about. And he says, they shall pursue thee until you perish. So, most of the diseases that the world is suffering from today, God is saying it is a case that is coming as a result of violating the words. He goes on to mention, I like reading the exact words that are in the Bible. Verse 27, he says, the Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the hemorrhoids, and with a scab, and with an itch whereof thou cannot be healed. God here is speaking about cancers. He is talking about hemorrhoids, the piles. He is talking about hepatitis C. He is talking about many various kinds of diseases, and says these things are going to pursue thee. In 28 he goes on and says, the Lord will smite thee with madness, with blindness, and astonishment of the heart. Now I know there is a lesson in this page. This is just an introduction of disease and where it comes from. But we are going to look at them bit by bit so that you can understand them better. And I hope that you are eager to listen to what is happening, because the answer is not what the world has. The answer is in disobedience to God. When we obey the law, and then all these problems shall move out. And the question that is lingering in your mind, and I'm sure you are ready to listen in the next video that we are going to shoot, is what law is God talking about? Because I know you don't want your children to get sick, you don't want your loved ones to get sick, and you want to help many people out there so they don't get this particular disease. Please join us in the next video as we get to build up on this interesting topic about disease, and you can no longer be ignorant and you are not going to perish, because as God's people we are going to take heed to his word. Thank you.